Hey, this is Rob Swanson with the Real Estate Mogul Show. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Rob Swanson here, back with another episode of the Real Estate Mogul Show. We have the crew back in the studio, and we are ready to rock and roll, have a good conversation again this week. Hope you guys are enjoying this. If you are enjoying these conversations, would you do us a favor? Would you smash that like button, and would you subscribe on all of your favorite podcast apps and share this with your friends? I'd like to see this show up all over Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and even Threads. We'd like to see it even on Threads.
That's right.
I don't want to get into Threads.
Hey, do us a favor. If you guys are enjoying this, it really helps the old algorithms everywhere keep this thing going. So with that, let's bring it into the studio. And hey, guys, how about a quick, short update? Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll go. Yeah, so pretty busy month for me on my end. On the real estate investing side, I think Rob, and you know this, Mike, but Joe, you may not, but I closed on a house on July 28th.
Nice.
And three others are, one is definitely, and two others are potentially closing on the same day. All the same seller.
Beautiful.
I chose the best one.
Hey, that is exactly why wholesaling is always a part of your arsenal.
Yep.
It's always an arrow in your quiver because you got 3 or 4 deals that came in. You cherry picked the best one for yourself. You flipped the other 3, and you used the profits from the other 3 to buy the one.
Yep, just a wash, basically.
I have taught that strategy for 15 years. I tell people, at least, right? I tell people, flip 5, buy 1. Flip 5, buy 1. Now, how many people listen to me? There's a good handful that do, but I'm telling you, most people want to make it more complicated than it is. And you're living proof it's not that complicated. And Mike, give us a welcome.
Well, here's the other piece. Joe, can you turn up my headset just a little for me?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Here's the other piece. If you're not the wholesaler, you're subject to the deals that the other wholesalers put out. And the best deals never get put out
That's
for
right.
sale.
Yeah.
That's right.
And don't get me wrong,
They get bought.
There have been several occasions where, like, I try to go off on this little itty mini path of mine, like, well, what if I do 2 instead of 1? And it was like, well, did you wholesale 5 yet? No. And then, stay on the path kind of thing.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's easy math. People can remember. Make cash on 5, make cash flow on 1. Make cash on 5, make cash flow on 1. And then once you've made cash on 5 and then made cash on 5 and then made cash on 5 and you're 15 cash in and you've maybe bought 2, you know what? You can make cash on 1 and say, wow, this next one I got is a sweetheart deal. You don't have to wait and take the 6th one every time. You get to cherry pick. Mm-hmm. But the whole strategy, the whole point is build up the cash, build up your cash capital to acquire and some cash reserves, and then start building the passive income. Mike, welcome to the studio.
Wow, thanks. Good to be here. Let's see. Pushed out 1,000 postcards on Monday.
Wait, you did?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love it.
So life and investing has seasons to it. So have an update on that here in a week. At our house, kids are back in another church camp this week, so they're wiped. So this is round 2. This is church camp number 2 of the summer. And so playing dad, but we're getting excited about Mile High Nationals this coming weekend, Top Fuel drag racing, which I've grown to love. I never went until I met my wife. She's been going since she was 18. But the bummer of it all is it's the final year of the track. We were talking about this a week or 2 ago. And so we're excited to go. It's kind of bittersweet because it's the final year at Bandimere Speedway, which is up on the side of the mountain. If you don't know about it, it's just a really unique drag racing track because of where it sits. And the homeowners, Henry's friend, we went over this. They complained, and so they're shutting it down. But we're excited. We took the kids for the first time. So we didn't go for a couple years when the kids were smaller. We took them last year. They loved it. And I didn't think they would like it, but you guys all know this. Kids have these really short attention spans. So I've taken them to other types of racing, and they're bored after 5 minutes. But drag racing, it's 2 new cars, 2 new cars, 2 new cars.
What's going to happen?
Then, right. And then we play which one's going to win based on which one looks cooler. And so they're constantly, they will sit there all day and we'll play which one's going to win, and it holds their attention,
No kidding.
which is unique.
Do they have like children's headsets that they wear? Or,
No,
or
full blown like gun range headset.
yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Yeah.
they each have their own. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
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 I thought you were just bringing your kids out there with no ear protection, just messing up their ears, let them suck down all the ethyl toxins, and like putting all these like detoxification, like all these all this stuff like into their bloodstream, just messing your kids up, Mike.
You should,
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, when they complain about the noise, I tell them to cowboy up.
Next, when you go, get someone to take a picture of all of you guys in a row with your headphones on.
Yeah. Next time you go,
Okay.
we want to see a family picture
Okay.
at the drags so that we can throw it up here on the screen.
Yeah,
and
for
even
sure.
Little likes it. She's 6, 5 last year.
Yeah.
Wants to go, and they call it the High Nationals. It's Mile High Nationals, but you know when your kids say things, there's a certain point where you don't correct it because it's cute. So, side note, 'cause this is my favorite one. They call beef jerky beef turkey, but we're not fixing it. I'll get another decade out of this. I'm fine with them calling it beef
That's
turkey.
amazing.
So they say, when are we going to High Nationals? Anyway,
Oh my gosh, that's fun.
this weekend.
Well, that's pretty awesome. Well,
That's my
next show, then maybe we'll have a family picture.
We should.
All right, excellent.
Love it.
Joe over there around the corner pushing the buttons. How are things going?
It's going good. I am on a 13-day Duolingo streak for Spanish,
Whoa.
which is
Hablo español.
muy poquito. And so what I've realized is, I've spoke Spanish in different capacities. I had to, when I was a cop, I needed to learn a bunch of Spanish, and it never stuck with me, but there's certain things that have stuck, and I'm realizing that they're slightly wrong. So I'm learning more about like just fixing my tense and the different things that come along with it. But it's super fun. Duolingo makes it great. I was inspired by these challenges that we have going on, the action that people are putting forth. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to put 30 days into this thing and see what happens. And I think it's just going to roll from there because I'll have the momentum. It's like a game.
Their app makes you stay on top of it.
It's so fun, too. It's like, it's a little, they build in all different areas, of, speaking, listening, writing. So I got a Latin America keyboard on my phone now, too. And I'm worried about my accents and all that. It's pretty awesome.
Hola, Joe. Me llamo Rob. Uno cerveza, por favor.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Let me get it for you.
So I can't really speak Spanish. I can Tarzan Spanish when we go down to Costa Rica. I can Tarzan my way through it. The problem is down there everybody speaks English, so you really don't have to. Even though I try and I'll do it sometimes. La cuenta, por favor. That's at the end
check.
of her. Give
The check.
The check, yep. So I know how to say that one after we go to a good restaurant. La cuenta, por favor.
I'm sure your whole family knows how to say he will take the check also.
Yeah, exactly.
Give it to him.
Yeah, exactly. But here's what's kind of cool. Like my middle daughter lived down in Costa Rica for just shy of a year, and she did Spanish all through high school, and then did Spanish in college, and then lived down in Costa Rica. So she speaks like a local. Like she speaks fluent Spanish, and people are surprised to see this girl that doesn't look like she should have a perfectly accented Spanish speaking ability. She sounds better than the locals, is what the locals tell her. They're like, your accent is perfect. And
That's awesome.
so, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of
That's
fun.
cool.
Well, so Joe, you were talking about the fact that the challenges that we have been running inspired you to step in and kind of create a personal challenge to learn Spanish. And you didn't just say, I'm going to learn Spanish, and then whatever happened. You said, I'm going to learn Spanish, and then you actually stepped into a process with some structure and with some guidance and with a timeline to it and with an objective, and and a goal. And I'm pointing this out because most people say, I want to do something, and then they never do it. And it's because all of these components of the decision were not made part of the process. And because structure, a lot of times people think structure is the thing that constrains you. And in reality, structure is oftentimes the thing that gives you freedom. And that's the same in finances. It's the same in learning, right? A lot of times people will say a budget, I don't do a budget because a budget confines me. Well, in reality, if you do a budget and you know what you need and that's allocated for, and you know what's extra, and you have the ability to make those investments and have your blow fund and just have the money for whatever, a budget is freedom. Just like the process of education should be freedom. And I just wanted to point that out, that you applied the concept of a challenge in a different way in learning Spanish. And I just thought that was cool and something that people should hear.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's definitely one thing that I've always known in teaching as a police officer, as teaching as a tattooer, as teaching as an elementary school teacher, is you have to find the foundation. Whatever you're learning, whether it's art or whether it's whatever, real estate, you have to find a foundation. If you get really, really good at the foundation, you can push and pull those elements within the foundation and know where to stretch. So, I mean, that applies in so many areas, and I think it applies definitely in real estate. You learn this really, really like solid foundation of a system, and you can start to play with it. You can start to pull in a little bit of cash flow from wholesaling, and it's because you know the foundation so well.
Yeah, love it. Very cool. Well, let's not miss the big news of the introduction, and that is the statement by Mike that says there are seasons in life where you're busy and you're distracted and you don't have the time, you don't have the focus to do certain things because you're focused on other things. And then those seasons ebb and flow and they come full circle. And Mike, what I just heard is that your season came full circle again, and you're back personally in the game, not just doing it passively and not doing it in other ways that we do around here, but you're active personally back in the game. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, life has seasons to it. So kids have been a big season. Former business partner in a couple different ways was a pretty big season that I was kind of working through on the real estate side. And it was, maybe it was because Joe started learning Spanish. I just thought maybe this.
I inspired you.
Yeah, no, that's not it. It's just, I've been teaching real estate consistently for a long, long time. Been in and out of it at different levels at different times over, the last, since 2008.
Yeah,
basically. And it's funny how you miss things. You'll wholesale a couple deals, and I know from the past you'll go through like a couple challenging transactions, and you're like, man, those were hard to get through. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes you just, you kind of take a breath, and I'm going to take a breather. And then at some point you miss it. You miss the conversation. You miss the excitement of a talk with a seller, the excitement of a contract, of the offer going out. There's some, let's not lie about this. There's some adrenaline built into selling in general, but real estate. Mm-hmm. There's energy around it. And there are definitely highs and lows. I've had deals blow up in the 11th hour. I've had deals just, fall into your lap. And those are really fun. Like, hey, that was cool how that just happened. And then the other one, there's some lows in it too. And so I think it's been interesting because in general, and I think people that know me, I'm fairly steady emotionally. There are certain times, obviously certain events in life have certain events will draw serious emotion out of any of us because that's the way life works. But real estate's I get into it. It's energizing for me, and some of the challenges I feel my way through real estate deals. That's just kind of how I'm wired. But I, you know,
well, and it takes the structure, right? To bring it into your life as an active part of your investment and wealth building strategy, the thing that's going to set up your family and generations downstream. It takes effort. It takes structure. You have the skill. You've been doing it since '08. You've been doing it for 15 years. You have the skill. If there's a guy that can probably finish my sentences when it comes to real estate investing and answering most questions related to it, it's probably you. You can probably answer how I'm going to answer because you've sat 8 to 10 feet from me for most of the 15 years that we've worked together.
Yep.
And so, but the structure, like you have to say, okay, I've got so many hours in the day. I've got so many commitments with work. I've got so many commitments with personal, family, kids, and I've got this commitment to myself and my family and our generational wealth building. And you've got to ask yourself, how am I going to fit these things in? Like, where do I time block in this wealth building component? Because the reality is, you don't have to do this business full time. You don't have to quit your job and be a full-time real estate investor. The reason somebody would do that is if they don't have a high income earning position, right? If you're making little money, then maybe moving into a full-time real estate investing job, if you have the skills to do that, makes sense. But it's not fully necessary to build wealth. And so I guess my question to you is, how are you going to time block in and fit those things into your calendar and into your schedule? Where does that fit?
Yeah, so it'll be a little bit here and there during the day, right? We check out and go, grab a bite to eat around here and that kind of thing. So I'll fit it in there. After hours. And I'm actually, to be honest, I'm pretty excited about our kids are 9, 8, 6. So still younger, but especially our oldest, he's about to be 10 and starting to ask questions. And they ask, Daddy, what do you do at work? And what do you do about this? And I've showed them houses that I've flipped in Denver, right? Some before and after pictures, and here's what it was, and this is what we made it. And I still have video on my phone, pictures on my phone. Can't remember the address, but the dozer pulled up and we were knocking a house down to build a new one. And I said, I'm not missing this. I mean, I was, like a 10-year-old. Here comes this giant excavator. And, I videoed the whole thing and showed them, kind of what we do. And so to bring that back into the mix a little bit, there's another component. My mom retired. She worked for a State Farm agent for a number of years. She was at home when us kids were at home. And then she worked with a local agent for 30 or 35 years. A couple years ago, she said, "Hey, I'm done with this." And so we've been talking, and she would like something kind of to do on part-time. So she may jump in and help out a little bit with transaction coordination or that kind of thing. So I'm going to build it in, probably use a little bit of help from family. Build it in a little bit during the day, after hours, weekends and that kind of thing. But I'm excited, honestly, to get on a phone call with somebody at the house and click them on speaker. And especially my oldest, just tell them to come in and, hey, sit down here and listen to this.
So cool.
Because I want to get them involved in the next couple years, probably, at least, start introducing it to them. But I would love for them to, know what I started to learn with you, Rob, 15 years ago, when they're 10.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is you'll find one of two things. They'll either be all into it and super excited and want to do it. And, hey, Dad, show me how to run the comps on this one. And, hey, can I do the analysis on that one? And, hey, let me look at the pictures on this one. And, like, they'll get into it, or they'll have no interest whatsoever.
And how do you know that, Rob?
Yeah, because my kids are a little bit, they're the decade ahead of your kids.
They are.
And so I watch that, right? Because I would do the exact same thing. I'd throw my phone on speakerphone sitting in the kitchen, or in the car, I'd take a call. Like my approach to real estate when you're active in the game is, why do tomorrow what you can do today? And there's times that delays are good, because you got to be focused on something else. But for the most part, if we were driving down the road to a game, I'd throw the phone on Bluetooth in the car and I'd talk to a seller. And my kids grew up listening to that. They grew up listening to conversations about, and the thing is about solving sellers' problems, right? I should finish my thought when I'm saying something and not jump to the next thought. In my head, I finished it, but in my mouth, I didn't. So my kids would grow up hearing me speak and talk to sellers and solve problems. And the thing that they were able to see was that those conversations weren't scary, right? I was not trying to outwit or outnegotiate or do anything crazy talking to a seller. I was literally curious. Hey, tell me what's going on. Why are you interested in selling? What can you tell me about the situation? What can you tell me about the property? Is it occupied? Is it vacant? Are the tenants paying? How much are they paying? How much are they behind? I was curious, and curiosity is the thing that helps solve problems. And most
100%.
people want this perfect script, which we have a good script. Don't get me wrong. The one call close script is good, and it's designed to get people to a decision in that first call. But the script itself, the conversation itself, isn't the magic. There's a few things that structure magic, like the upfront commitments that we talk to the seller about, and the 2-condition close that we use on the back end. Like, there's some magic in our script. But at the end of the day, what's magic about it is that we teach people to be curious. And then you got to be curious about the right thing, right? Everybody wants to be curious about the house, especially when they're brand new. They're learning. They want to be curious about the house. So they get on the phone and they say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my name is Rob with American Buyers, and I'm a real estate investor here in the area. And I'm glad we have the opportunity to talk today. So tell me about the house.
Rob,
that's not the way to do it.
This is $1 million tip for everybody listening, what he's explaining right now. Don't miss this.
It's huge. It's huge. You don't care about the house. What you care about is why they're interested in selling. People always are trying to figure out, how do I go from just an all cash or a cash at a discounted offer, or even a financed at a discount offer, to a terms offer? How do I, where's the magic? What's the line? What's the one-liner? What's the script that I need to make a terms offer? You know what the key is? Curiosity. And understanding why they're interested in selling. If you understand why they're interested in selling, you will see when price matters to them, cash flow matters to them. They don't want to or won't sell at a discount, but they don't need the money today, and they're more than happy to take payments over time. They just don't want to deal with the property anymore. And so a lot of times the why that creates terms is the stress of dealing with the situation. And so if you understand that is the key, a terms offer lays down in your lap. And everybody's looking for this magic bullet sentence to transition into a terms offer. Just be curious. Just talk to people.
I was talking to a coaching student yesterday, and they're telling me about this deal that they made an offer on. They talked to the seller. First question I asked them, why do they want to sell?
Why do they want to sell?
I'm not really sure. It's like, you didn't finish that conversation.
You didn't even start the conversation.
Yeah.
You got to get back on the phone.
Yeah.
And he's telling me how we made him a cash offer and we made him a terms offer. And I was like, but back up. You don't know why they want to sell. Do they need the money? Are they okay with money over time? Why are they interested in selling? What problem are you trying to solve? If you know that, you know which offer to make.
That's right.
Every time.
That's right. Well, so let's talk about that for a second, because if you understand the why, and then if you follow the magic process of the one called closed script, you're going to present the offer in a way that the seller hears, the seller understands, the seller recognizes, hey, this solves my problem. And the seller is more likely to say yes and accept that offer than if you just shoot an offer out and blindly give them two choices. Now, I like the make an offer blindly to get in the game. I like make an offer, throw your cards on the table, get in the game, get somebody to call you, have a conversation with them, and then present verbally the offer and the reason the offer makes so much sense based on their why, their reason for selling. And most people miss that. To your point, Mike, the conversation yesterday, we made him a cash offer and we made him a terms offer, and now we're just waiting. Well, do you even know if the structure of your you can structure a terms offer 1,000 different ways. So do you even know if the structure of your terms offer makes sense to them? Does it solve their problem?
Right.
Why are they selling?
The other thing it does is, at the end of the day, all of us want to do business with people we know, like, and trust. And so when you get to know, here's what's going on in this person's life, and here's why they want or need to sell, and then you present an offer that you think, hey, what if we did this, and I think that gets you X amount to go accomplish this, or whatever the case.
Yep.
They know that you listen to them.
Yep.
So subconsciously, this would never get verbalized in a conversation with a seller, but subconsciously that seller's thinking, this person paid attention. They understand what I'm going through. They now get where I live. I told them some things that are going on in my life, which is a vulnerable position. And now they're not trying to take advantage of it. They're seeing if they can formulate a way to help me out of this and create this win-win. And that's when the deal is done.
That's right.
Yeah, and this is where, like, on the script, there is, so to speak, stage directions on building rapport, right? This is your chance to build rapport. If it's in the beginning, middle, throughout the whole conversation, it's your chance to build rapport, to listen, and that may be you sitting there for 5 minutes and not saying a single word and letting them talk, right? Yep. Because you're learning about their why, their issues, their problems, or it may not even be a problem. They're just talking to you, and that's fine.
Yep.
Because to Mike's point, now they recognize that you are someone that's listening to them. And I guarantee you, not every other wholesaler in that market is doing that.
Yep.
They're just playing the numbers game. You own a vacant house, this is what we can offer. Yes or no? No, hang up. Bye. Yeah.
Right.
And I listen to that. I hear that from sellers. Are you a wholesaler? I don't want to work with a wholesaler because wholesaler A, B, and C did this to me over the past 6 months.
Yep.
Still haven't been able to get their deal across the finish line because of situations like this.
Yep. And, you know, a seller says to you, are you a wholesaler? And I want people to understand that wholesaling is an exit strategy. It can define who you are. You can be a wholesaler, that's fine. But you can also be a real estate investor and use the wholesaling exit strategy as one of your alternatives. Alternatively, you could close on it for cash with your own cash. You could close on it for cash with a private lender. You could close on it with cash with hard money. You could close on it with terms and take over payments or do owner financing or structure a lease option, or like there's so many ways that you can do it. People get locked in on this definition of I'm a wholesaler or I'm not a wholesaler, and they miss that wholesaling is simply an exit strategy that you can apply in any transaction, in any deal that ultimately helps the seller. it's not something that takes advantage of the seller. It's a thing that actually helps the seller.
So true. And I mean, back to like kind of the things that I've read and heard from other people, like there's like this veil that gets thrown over a conversation that a wholesaler gets into, where they feel like they have to hide the fact that they could wholesale it. Because again, one thing that you teach is those wholesalers are going into the deal only looking to wholesale and not thinking of it as an overarching one exit strategy to the 6 things that you could do.
Yep.
And if you come in with that mindset, you're tunneling yourself down a track that could rub the seller the wrong way. And this is where all these issues come from in the situations that I hear where wholesalers have done the sellers wrong in that case.
Yep.
I think also, excuse me, having the way to articulate it in a different way for the seller is important. So having a script, having rebuttals, having these things on deck ready to go. So when they say, are you a wholesaler? Well, that's one strategy that we use, but we, potentially are going to bring in a strategic business partner or, and that's not necessarily what you would say, but like having these rebuttals so that you're ready to frame it in a different way that makes more sense to them.
Yeah, because they're already defining you as a quote-unquote wholesaler, meaning that you are trying to do one thing. When that's not necessarily the case. You are a real estate investor in the area.
Right.
And have you wholesaled before? Yeah, I've used that exit strategy before. I've also bought houses before as well. Yeah.
So the seller's why, we're always talking about the seller's why, but there's also an investor's why. So let me swing this a different direction. Henry, why invest in real estate?
For me specifically, I saw it as a twofold. I saw it as a way to be better at my job here. Specifically, I wanted to be able to have arrows in my quiver, so to speak, for when I was talking and training FreedomSoft to real estate investors. I had backing to it. I was passionate about the software, but at the time, in the very beginning, I didn't know much about real estate investing. So it was really, I wasn't technically regurgitating stuff that you taught me and Mike taught me so I could teach the user better in a way. I wanted to be able to have my own personal experience behind that so that it's double the amount of passion to the user so that I can motivate them even better. So that was number one at first. Number two was, we always talk about proximity. And I'm a super curious guy. I get motivated by something that seems possible. So to me, seeing it done around me, talking to people that it was being done by them, it just made me really made me interested. And specifically, I saw it as an opportunity to, like you've talked about, grow generational wealth for me, my wife, future family, and just live the life that we want to live, by design. Like you said 2 podcasts ago, that really hit hard for me because I'd already thought about that. So, yeah, it was twofold for me.
I thought you were going to hit him with a Tupac quote. You ended that, and I was like, oh, yes, this is about to get good. Tupac quote coming. Sorry. That's where my head went.
Yeah,
that's not where my head went.
That's not But yeah, it was a little bit of both. At first, I really wanted to help our users out by saying, because it feels good for me personally, and I think it helps them believe that it can work on the other end, because a lot of my introductions to trainings for FreedomSoft is the cool thing about our software, FreedomSoft, is that everyone here in the office is actively doing or has done real estate before and has used FreedomSoft to succeed in that endeavor, whether it's 1 deal or 500 deals. They've used FreedomSoft to do it, and I can actively tell them the account that you're looking at right now is a demo account, but I have other accounts that I actively run just like you're trying to do. And the way that I'm going to teach them today is how we do it, how we actually do it. And I don't know much about other software companies in this space. I haven't used them. I don't know those people, but In other SaaS industries, it's not very common where the actual people that work there are using the software for themselves and their success and actually feel that it could do something. And we can say that wholeheartedly, 100% here, which is insane.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So same question bounced over to Mike. What's your why to bring the season of active investing and growth back into your portfolio?
My first 4 reasons are my wife and 3 kids, right?
Yep.
Because I throw that one on there first and foremost. But honestly, I enjoy it. And I was going to make a comment earlier. I enjoy real estate. I enjoy talking to sellers. I enjoy talking to buyers, and I like helping people out of their scenario. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people across the country right now that have a real estate related problem. And a licensed agent can't help them because of the condition of the property or whatever reason, and they don't have a solution. And they need an investor like us to contact them with a solution. And they're waiting for it because they don't know how to find us.
Yep.
We know how to find them through a postcard or a phone call or a lot of different methods, right? Outbound marketing, but they don't know how to find us in most cases. And so I was going to bring up an analogy before, and I think it's super relevant here because people are drawn to the money-making ability of real estate. But let me explain why that's there. So in business in general, in most cases, you get paid according to the problems that you can solve. And I had a guy named Jeff Olson explain this to me years ago at a business event. And here's the analogy he used. So Jim Rohn talked about this too, the late great, not the loudmouth sports guy, the late great business philosopher Jim Rohn. And he was talking about size of problem you can help solve equals size of paycheck. And he goes, so Jim Rohn uses the CEO of Coca-Cola. Mm. You want to take a big company and help them expand globally, not locally, not internationally, globally, they'll happily pay you $20 million a year for this role. Happily, right? And then, so Jeff Olson uses the example. He said, if you can solve small problems, you can get paid a smaller wage. If you can solve big problems, you can get paid a bigger wage. And the one he uses is, if you go to work and the only problem you solve is cans on the bottom, bread on the top, you'll get paid minimum wage to solve that problem. If you can step into somebody's life and solve a real estate related problem where the numbers are typically big, even a small house, an inexpensive house, 40, 50, 60, 100 grand, right? Where if you can help solve a big problem, which is what we do, you can get paid a lot. So what really drives me, obviously the family component, but the understanding that, like I said, there are thousands and thousands in every market across the country of people right now who have a real estate or life-related issue that real estate could potentially help with, and they don't currently have a way out until our marketing shows up.
And so I think both of you guys gave good answers.
Thank you.
Good answers, meaning you gave the podcast answer. At the end of the day, you're motivated by money, but you're motivated by what money can do for you in the future and for your family in the future. It creates that generational wealth, that generational passive income. It creates something that you get to hand down to your kids. It creates something that allows you to spend time with those that you want to spend time with. People can build a business, and they got to figure out what's the widget I'm gonna offer. How am I gonna build it? They got to build all the systems around it. They got to hire the people for it. They got to go find the customers. They got to get good at sales and marketing. They got to do all the stuff because the business and the value that they create is in exchange then for money. Or you can invest in real estate, where the house or the apartment building or the commercial property or the mobile home park or the fill in the blank is the value. It provides the roof. It provides the shelter. It provides the space to operate out from within and out of. The real estate asset is the value inherently in and of itself. So the person that invests in real estate doesn't have to figure out how to build a support team and build a sales team and build, they buy assets. The asset does the work, and they get paid. And it's a beautiful thing. So
we just went. So Rob, a lot of people answer why real estate. Oh, I want the money, but you know that that's not the right answer.
Right.
Money's actually a really poor motivator. The things money can provide is a great motivator.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
But money in itself is nobody's after a stack of cash in the back room or in a vault.
That's right.
It's what the money can provide. And so we just did you a favor and didn't make you ask, no, what do you really want?
Well, when any of us are on our deathbed, none of us are going to sit there and say, man, I am so glad that fifth bedroom in my house is stacked full of gold bars and dollar bills. Nobody says that.
They don't.
No, people are going to talk about the memories, and people are going to talk about the relationships, and people are going to talk about the connections, and people are going to talk about those things. And real estate is a tool and a vehicle that helps create memories. The money out of real estate is a piece of the tool. You've got the asset of real estate. Money is a tool that comes out of that asset, and that's what helps create the memories. And so when people are thinking about the why, that's why I want people to dig deeper. And we hear it all the time, right? We talk to people all the time. Hey, so why real estate? Why you want to get into real estate today? Why now? And they say, oh, I want to make more money. Oh, I want more time. And if you keep asking why, well, if you had more money, what would you do with it? And, oh, why would you do that? And if you go deeper, 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 money is simply a tool that gets this thing that's really driving them. And if people can surface what really drives them, they're more likely to succeed.
Massive potential.
Massive potential, because it's hard to drum up the energy, the excitement, the whatever, the gumption that it takes to pursue pleasure. And right, the results of owning and acquiring and flipping and cash flowing real estate, the results of that are pleasure. But it's hard to pursue pleasure, especially if you're comfortable. But it's easy to run away from pain if something hurts, right? And so most of the time, people that make that shift have gotten to the bottom, or pain has gotten so bad that they're like, I got to do something else. And they drum up this energy to do something that they otherwise wouldn't have. And if you can identify the objectives and the goals and the end result of putting in the energy, the effort and the skill of investing in real estate, and you know where you're headed, it's easier to pursue that pleasure. So let's take this conversation real quick, and I want us to talk for a few minutes about two things. Number one, I have a question, and then number two, I have a statement. So number one, just give me a simple answer to this question, Mike. We live here in Denver.
Yep.
Are you investing in Denver?
Heck no.
And tell me why.
Price point.
Okay, price point.
Hyper competitive.
Hyper competitive.
Yep. And the price point.
So higher prices means the cash flowing exit strategy isn't there.
Fewer really motivated sellers.
Inventory. Yeah.
Yep. So fewer motivated sellers. So inventory.
Yep.
So supply is lower.
Yep.
Prices are significantly higher.
Yep.
So it would take more private capital if you were going to go that route to make it work. Returns would be lower. You'd have to put a lot down in order to cash flow. Cash flow doesn't work. So you'd kind of be in a fix and flip strategy. If you were going to be in Denver, it's going to be predominantly fix and flip.
Yep.
Or you've got significantly lower cash flow returns. The inventory. So the amount of money you would spend to get to your first deal, historically in a high-priced, high competition, lower inventory market like a Denver, the amount of money and the amount of time it takes to your first deal is greater.
Yep.
And mostly it's the amount of time and therefore the amount of money, because you have to spend more money on your marketing for a longer period of time and repeat that process in order to get to that first deal. And so what you chose to do, and I'm not going to ask you what market you chose to go into, but
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
yeah, that's what I believed. And that's why I wasn't going to ask you, because I value my life. So you decided to go into what around here we would call an easy profit city. And so what are the benefits to you of doing that?
More motivated sellers, lower price point. So here's a simple question. Of the buyers in the United States, can more buyers afford a $650,000 investment property or an $85,000 investment property?
85,000.
By multiple factors, right?
Yep.
So that reason, inventory on the sell side and on the buy side, because the wholesale, you have to have both. And that's my intent. I'm not looking for a fix and flip project, although I love fixing houses.
Well, you're looking for the 5-1 strategy.
At another season, I will flip houses again.
In the near future, my
it.
goal is for here in the we go do a flip in Denver or something. That would be so much fun. I don't know what role I would play in that, but it would be
Observer.
Sheetrock.
Yeah.
Here's a
sander. We're gonna make him be the tape mutter and the sander.
I would do it. That sounds fun.
Not everybody agrees, but when they're in the house doing trim and they're cutting up trim, it takes me back to my grandpa's shop. The smell of cut wood. I flippin' love it. And then when they spray the texture and the house is all humid, I love it.
So let me just say this: if your goal is to do a fix and flip here in Denver, I'm just gonna tell you I'm out.
Rob's out.
Like let me tell you how much interest I have in doing that.
Oh.
0. None.
Well, I would in part of that. It's if the Denver market busts down is that's when the goal I would bring it up.
And then when it busts, buy everything you can get your hands on.
Yeah, don't flip it.
Don't flip it.
Yeah.
Place a tenant and hold.
Buy it, and I don't even care if you place a tenant. Like, I'm telling you, when the crash happens, get as much access to capital as you can have. Sell the story to your private lenders about what's likely to happen, and get patient money. And literally buy everything you can touch, disconnect utilities, board it up, sit on it. Bernie told me that years ago. He said, chain smoking, hard money lending Bernie. Told me exactly what to do, and I didn't listen to him. But that's a whole show conversation. So we're not going to go down that. We're not going to go down that road. So here's why I wanted to ask you this. So I set this up intentionally. I wanted to understand how you were going to process and time block your time. I wanted to kind of understand a little bit about your strategy, or so the time blocking, like how are you going to fit that into your day? Then I wanted to understand a little bit about your why, like why is this important to you? Then I wanted to understand a little bit about the strategy and the market selection and that kind of thing. And I want to bring this full circle, and I want to talk a little bit about where do we think artificial intelligence plays into making all of this easier over the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And it's really hard to project and anticipate even 3 years, let alone 10. Like that's out there, and it's crazy to think of where we might be in a decade. Even a year, as fast as things are happening right now, a year is a long time in the world of artificial intelligence. If you look back over the last 4 months and what has happened, it's incredible. And so what I want us to do, though, is talk a little bit about what do we think and how does AI impact us in our real estate investing journey?
I think for me, and you kind of already, it's almost like a layup from what we've been talking about thus far. We've talked about the talking to sellers side of things. And I think eventually, and we've talked about this in the office, is that I don't see any other way around companies or solutions being built in which that whole situation will be automated potentially completely.
Yep.
As scary as that sounds. You're already seeing that in other markets in general. So I think just in the next year, and we're focusing on it too, is that we've already talked about today that the potential that people hold in the first 30 seconds to 2 minutes of a conversation with a seller could be all the difference. And I think where we're focusing on specifically is to help out the users to minimize that situation with AI allowing the system to negotiate, generate an offer, all the way up to basically all you need to do is send the paperwork or talk to them and say, hey, are we ready to go, basically. But yeah, that's kind of where I see it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting, right? I've got a list of things that I think are going to be like 7 ways artificial intelligence, AI, is going to start to disrupt real estate over the next, forecast of time. And, one is in the deal analysis. If we step back and we analyze, and this is what we do at FreedomSoft a lot. We ask ourselves, where are those really big pinch points in a real estate investor's journey where they get stopped and where things fall apart and break down and they fail. And so the first one is just the fear, the over-analysis, and the fear of getting started, right? So I don't want to make a bad deal. I don't want to lose money. I don't know what I should pay. I don't know how to analyze this deal. I've just analyzed this as a fix and flip in an area where landlords are buying everything, right? People don't want to make that mistake. So there's fear and over-analysis. The second big pinch point is in making the offer. It's taking the action to actually make the offer. They got over the fear. They went through the analysis process. They maybe did some marketing. They got some leads. There's some opportunity sitting on their dashboard, and it gets to the point of making the offer, and they freeze, and they stop, and they don't make the offer. The number one key performance indicator of success as a real estate investor is how many offers did you make, right? And that's the second big pinch point. So we've got the over-analysis or the inability to analyze, fear. We've got didn't make the offer. And the third is simply talking to a seller. So in either making the offer or getting a response from making that offer and talking to the seller. That's the third big pinch point in the acquisition side of the equation that we see people fail on. And so I'm just going to give a couple of things where I see real estate AI coming into play over the next number of years. Number one is in deal analysis. The computer, if given the right inputs, and we have to understand what AI is. AI is, well, let me give the definition here. In fact, let me pull this up. What is AI? AI, here, I can pull this, let me pull this over to the screen so you guys can see it. Right there. And let me go, I'll just leave it like that. I won't go into presentation mode. Artificial intelligence, the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks, get this, that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, so seeing things, speech recognition, decision making, and the translation between languages. Now we've seen AI and really impact the translation of languages over the past decade. It's structural language to structural language with the variations in structure that need to be interconnected. Visual perception, speech recognition, and decision making. Decision making is huge. Decision making is huge. And I think artificial intelligence is going to help people in the decision making. So if we go back to where we see these challenges, number one, in the fear and the overanalysis, AI will help in the decision making of overanalysis. And then we go to the offer, making the offer. A human has to be able to make the decision to take the action to make the offer. Software can make that so simple. In fact, we did recently the 100 Offer Challenge, and we showed how simple it is to actually do the action of making the offer. And then we just have to get people's gray matter to the point of making the decision to take the action. And so I find it fascinating that artificial intelligence is defined in this way in these 4 areas, right? The development of computer systems to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. So normally it takes a human brain to think something through and take an action. Artificial intelligence is replacing the human brain with recognition. And it does that because all artificial intelligence today is input-based learning models. It's not really artificial intelligence. It's much more machine learning. Mm-hmm. It's input-trained computers that are trained to recognize patterns and see things and then take actions based on that. And it's an iterative process. I could go through the presentation that I've done a few times. I'm not going to do that here, but I want to get down to these 7 things. So down to right here. So deal analysis. Does it fit my buy box? Number 2, estimating repairs. Think about visual perception. Think about where AI goes. You go and you have a picture taker, right? So we invest virtually. And we're about to start. Let's see, as this is going out, I think a week from now, next week, we're going to be in the middle of our virtual market challenge. Mm-hmm. And so if you're interested in jumping in and us teaching you how to invest virtually, jump into freedomsoft.com/join the challenge and join us through the virtual market challenge. We will teach you how to launch your real estate investing business in a virtual market, the exact same thing that we do here in the office. But imagine getting pictures in a virtual market. You've never seen the house. You've never set foot in the city. You've never met the seller, but you get pictures back of the property and you upload it into an AI-driven application that can now look at all of those pictures and give you a full takeoff, construction takeoff, and a full repair estimate accurately based on looking at those pictures.
Right. And then picture this. There's a wholesaler who's not doing the fix-up. And as a wholesaler, you could sell to 4 potential buyers, and they're all going to do something different. So imagine each one of those 4 buyers has their own custom AI tech that says we use this kind of granite and we use this level of light fixtures and this kind of plumbing fixtures.
That's right.
And it takes those same pictures and says not just here's a fix-up budget, here's my fix-up budget.
Correct.
Based on my materials.
It's insane. And there's the technology already exists for a computer to look at a picture and do the appropriate takeoffs and figure how much drywall is needed and how many gallons of paint and how much square footage of flooring and
crazy.
It's insane. Number 2, website chats or automated conversations online, right? Almost everybody today has plugged into likely, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, you've probably pursued technology enough or been exposed to it that you've heard of at least ChatGPT and what that language model does. And it's pretty astounding. Sales scripts, conversation guides, and objection handling. Think about this. One of the big fear pain points is talking to a seller, right? we started the conversation about how my kids grew up listening to me talk to sellers. So for them, it's not as scary as it is for someone else, because they recognize that I'm literally asking questions and trying to understand and then solving problems. I'm not trying to out negotiate them and beat them down in price. I'm literally coming to an agreeable solution to their problem that they probably never thought about or didn't know was available to them, and I'm literally helping them. So sales scripts. Number 5, portfolio management. Where should I buy and when should I sell? Triggers, kind of like a stock market, right? And especially as the real estate world moves to more of a digitized or tokenized area with the adoption of crypto assets and tokenization over the coming years, you may not just have to own shares in a syndication or 123 Main Street as a whole house. You may start to own tokenized percentages of ownership that the cash flow distributions and the tax benefit distributions and all of that is managed via cryptocurrency and tokenization. And now you get to decide based on AI, where should I, hey, I'm a little light in my portfolio in this area. I want to increase my percentage of token holdings. I mean, it starts to become very much like the stock market, but with a hard asset underpinning it. It's very fascinating where this starts to go. Number 6, Mike, you got something?
Yeah, I was just thinking, location be interesting, because I believe AI could understand across the planet, but especially across the country or even localized. This company's struggling. This company's about to go out of business. 2,500 employees are going to lose their house or are going to lose their job. What's happening here? There's going to be layoffs. There's going to be this.
Prediction models.
Massive new medical
100%.
complex coming here.
100%.
So could be, positive and negative. Major anchors coming in, government funding moving into this area, moving into this zip code.
Yep.
But to be able to see both real time and 6, 12 months down the road. So you had mentioned, predictive type models, but just based on, people move around.
Yep.
Political environments change, a lot of different factors, but to be able to sort of make sense of all that. And again, back to your portfolio, but even from a wholesaling standpoint, this is an emerging market, go by here.
Yeah.
Demand is on the
it's
rise,
huge.
so.
It's huge, right? There's a thing in the real estate investing world that most newer to intermediate investors probably haven't gotten deep enough into. But if you're an experienced guy and you've been around this industry for a while, you've heard the term of predictive analytics. And predictive analytics is a human input, human-driven analytics approach to list building and opportunity finding, right? Finding opportunities based on predictive data, using data in a predictive way to anticipate when somebody is going to be ready to sell, or as one example. But predictive analytics is a thing. And so what you're talking about there is exactly that at a whole nother level of scale. Number 6, dynamic offers. So automated and accurate bid generation, using decision making to come up with the right offer based on what a seller's situation is, and maybe you're trying to figure out the right terms offer that really solves their problem. Dynamic offers. The AI can actually come up with the best scenario, most likely to solve that seller's problem, resulting in an accepted offer that positions you as the investor to make a profit. Fascinating. Number 7, lead generation. Finding deals that your competition can't, and using AI to drive much of that. So these are 7 things. We'll talk about these more in future episodes. One of the things we're doing here at FreedomSoft, just for you guys to hear this, is we've got the FreedomSoft Deal Negotiator. And so we have underpinned with FreedomSoft, what we've coined Deal AI. And it is a real estate investor's learning model, artificial intelligence learning model that we are utilizing to drive various aspects of the FreedomSoft application and tools that users can interact with. We've been using it to underpin the Dig tool inside of FreedomSoft, which is our lead amplification tool. We've been using that for the last 14, 16 months, something like that, with incredible results. It's freaking awesome. And our deal negotiator is stepping into that place where the human screws up the conversation and the AI, the computer interaction with the seller doesn't. And so we're pretty excited about that. I think what we need to do, though, guys, is we need to start wrapping this show up.
I had one thing I wanted to say on this topic.
Go.
It is, a lot of people may find this scary, and I did it first. But to not want to get involved in this and learn about it, I think you're missing out.
Yep.
I watched a 30-minute video on YouTube 2 nights ago, even before I knew we were going to be talking about this stuff. And it was a leading marketer that used to build brands for people, for businesses and companies. And their company is utilizing AI a lot more. And he did a case study on the YouTube video where he basically said, in less than 20 minutes on this video, I'm going to have a men's athletic and leisurely brand built, launched, and working in under 20 minutes.
Yep.
And he used 2 or 3 AI. He used ChatGPT and a couple other things that incorporated more images and stuff like that. And I watched it, and he told the system, he asked it to build and give him 15 brand ideas and company names. He'd ask him to build and plan out 30 days of Instagram picture posting, plan them, and give them a solution to submit those planned images to Instagram and launch them on a time schedule.
Yep.
It asked him to build a website for them. It asked him to plan out every single line of copy on every single tab that fits the audience, men's leisurely branding. In under 20 minutes, he had all of that built, and then he compared it to if a company had hired, a team of 5 or 10.
Yep.
We're talking like 2 to 3 months of work to get this launched, and it looked amazing. And it's scary to think that, but to not want to learn about that, I think you're missing out, because there's massive potential, especially when it comes into the real estate investing realm.
Well, and to bring that full circle, to encourage people to jump into the challenge with us, we're going to be showing some of these things. Like, how do you do this virtually? How do you do this virtually across the country? How do you live where you want to live, travel when you want to travel, and invest virtually, and do it using tools and technology that's there to support you? And so if you want to go through that process with us, and we'll teach that to you for free, go to freedomsoft.com/join the challenge, and we'll walk you through it step by step. So I think it's time to jump into the last segment of the show. We're already running a little bit long. I don't know how many we have on here today. Joe, should we cut this a little short? Should we only go through a handful of them, or what do you think we ought to do here?
I think we can go through them. We'll just we'll probably zip through them a little bit faster than normal, but there's some good ones here.
All right, so here we are, jumping into Mogul Memes. This is the segment that has real estate investors laughing, at least with us,
at least internally
at us. I don't know.
I think at this point they're laughing with us.
Yeah, they got to be laughing with us. Yeah. Okay, so here we go from Joe Rogan. When you're 3 but just sold your first house, that is a picture of a great looking realtor headshot. Love the glam shot on that 3-year-old. That's beautiful. Who did this one?
I did this one. I saw Rogan post this, and I thought it was just it was perfect for what we were doing. And, Mike talking about his kids getting involved too. This is even more on point. So I love it.
This is Mike. That does look exactly like your daughters. All right. Make the freaking offer. Get the freaking contract. Get freaking paid. I love it. Let's see. Who is this guy?
Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil
with the quotes.
Yeah, Dr. Evil with the quote hands. I like it. I'm guessing, Mike, is this you?
Yeah, I made that one.
All right, this is you. Make the freaking offer.
Coming off of our 100 offer challenge.
Yeah, some of these are coming off of the 100 offer challenge and looking forward to this virtual market challenge.
Yeah. All right. Playing a little Uno. Make the offer or draw 25. Dang it. I should have made the offer.
The guy stuck with 25 cards.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, here's top picture. Make the offer button on the left is red button, make the offer. Right red button, don't make the offer. Sweating guy in the picture on the bottom, I made the offer. Oh, my gosh, it's so difficult. It's so scary.
Only your first one is like that.
Yeah, maybe the first.
Maybe the first
couple. Yeah, I dropped this one. I dropped the Uno, and I dropped this one in there. Friday meetings be like, and nobody thought to tell me. What?
This is you at Friday meetings. Oftentimes, when we run into a problem, I thought it was classic. So this one was mine.
Oh, this is me sitting in a Friday meeting with the team.
Yep.
And the team is talking about some problem that they're solving, and I'm not aware of it. Is that what's going on here?
And nobody thought to tell me. Wait. Who made this change 2 months ago?
Oh yeah.
Hey, back that one up.
All right, back here.
So the guy in the background, Michael Dorn, I think is his name, that played Worf. I played ping pong with a guy once that bought his old jet. Next.
Really?
Amazing.
Interesting.
Nice. Make the offer or we're not going home. We got 2 astronauts with the Earth in the background, out stuck in space. One guy's holding a pistol at the other guy. Make the offer. Or
when there's enough pain, you'll make the offer.
When there is enough pain, you will make the offer. I like it. All right, next one. That Zip Finder really found me the profits. Old lady looking through her glasses at the screen.
Look at that laptop.
Look at that laptop.
Love it.
God, classic. And that mouse. And Zip Finder, man. I'm telling you, Zip Finder is the tool that more investors are going to start using and loving. I use it all the time.
All the time. It's delicious.
I mean,
So
you
good.
just launched in a new market. I guarantee you used it.
Yes.
I guarantee you used it.
Multiple times, Rob.
Freedom Soft for everyone.
You get Freedom Soft. You get Freedom Soft.
Yeah.
You get Freedom Soft.
Oprah. All right. Looky here, Clyde.
Yeah, I used
says
the same one.
virtual
Who did
market.
the last one with this lady?
I did this one.
Who made the last meme with the old lady?
Wait, go back one more.
I did this one.
Okay, so I used the same image.
Right. See, this is why I put them both in there, because you guys both had
A
the same
different
image,
spin.
but a different spin. So bring it down.
All right. Looky here, Clyde. Same old lady says the virtual market challenge is free. Hot diggity. Looky here,
Get
Clyde.
in the virtual market challenge.
Get in the virtual market challenge. freedomsoft.com/join the challenge.
Even this lady's in. Her
She's
and
in.
Clyde.
And
That's
Clyde.
Right. That's right.
All right. That's a wrap, everybody. Hope you got a lot of value out of this one. If you did, do us a favor, subscribe to the show and share this on your favorite podcast app with your friends. We want to continue bringing this kind of content to you, and you helping share this and getting more people involved is a big help to us. So that's a wrap. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye now.
Peace.
See ya.